Hello, welcome to my unboxing and quick review of the Maxichamps by Minichamps, that is 1/43rd scale Mercedes-Benz 560 SEC. So this is the, I believe, W126 era or C126 because this is the coupe. So this, I'm assuming this is basically a rebranding of the Minichamps older moulding and toolings and carried on production. So there's our information, part number. Interestingly, this had been advertised on eBay where I bought it brand new as a Minichamps. They'd admitted the fact that it was a Maxichamps. Okay, you've got a Mercedes genuine hologram thing there. They admitted to say it was a Maxichamps. And I even checked the part number, and when I saw the same part number on another listing, which was purportedly for Minichamps, I thought, okay, it must be a Minichamps rather than the newer Maxichamps, but I knew it was being advertised as new. So anyway, I got it, and it's turned out to be a Maxichamps. So be aware of that. I'm not sure if there's any difference. So if you've got a Minichamps one of these, do keep watching, and I'll be curious for your verdict on whether this is inferior to that. Okay, so I've managed to get that flap open. The key thing when you're opening these bits is to hold that down so you're not going to damage the card by overstretching it. Right, let's see if we can get that out. Okay, it's going to come out with a backing card. So interestingly, this Maxichamps has an orange piece in the top of the cover, which is quite a nice, certainly with the branding. I'm a big fan of the colour orange anyway. So, just get that out. So I'm okay with this kind of orange branding, really. So okay, there we go. It's still in the plastic film, so I'm going to remove that in a second. Like I say, it's got that there. Quite a tall case compared to the width, maybe. But I mean, even though these are big coupes, they're relatively tall, of course. They're not, so I guess maybe that explains that. So this is an interesting one. It's got a film coming like that, and there appears to be a joint just there, which I'm trying to tap into, really. Tricky. Okay, I don't need to do that, of course. I can just slide that film off, and there we go. And if you've watched my channel before, maybe you subscribe, and do feel free to subscribe. You'll find that I take my cars off their bases. So I'm just delving back here for a screwdriver, which I've just got. So, but the first step will be to take off the cover now. Now, is it being held on down here? Probably not, because we had that plastic film. So the key is to make sure I'm going to brace it there a bit with my little finger. And okay, that was key. You don't want to be jerking that off and hitting the car. Sideways as well, backwards and forwards, sideways. You don't want to hit the wing mirrors. So that's nice enough. Lightweight. It's not particularly thick. It's a slimish construction. So, but it's perfectly adequate. Nothing wrong with that at all. Nicely unscratched. Right, we've got to the car. I don't necessarily like the height of this base, but it is what it is. It doesn't really affect me. It might affect you. So the 560 was from the facelift era of SEC and SE and SEL. So you had the SE was the saloon, and the SEL was the long wheelbase saloon, and this was the coupe version of it. So the first series, you had the 380, the 420, and the 560. The second series, you had 420, 500, and 5. Sorry, first series was up to 380, 420, 500. The second series was 420, 500, 600. Okay, that's quite an interesting mechanism for that. So you've got effectively your three prongs with the middle being screwed up into the car. So anyway, I'll pop that back in there. Right, okay, so getting back to the car, that's quite nice. Yeah, I quite like that arrangement. And interestingly, in the bottom, it's got branding. Let me just have a look at that branding. And I think that's Paul's Model Art and Maxichamps. So it's interesting, I hadn't seen the Paul's Model Art branding before, but it makes sense because that's what Minichamps are. So anyway, and so I'm talking about the facelift version. The main difference you can see is this cladding here is a smoother cladding, whereas before it was grooved, this cladding, and it looked older fashioned. Of course, that old one is becoming maybe more cool as a classic, whereas this is the more modern version. Now, looking at this car, the proportions look right to me. Now, on an old-fashioned early 80s, I mean, this was designed in the second half of the 1970s. You've got quite a high, tall glass house, so a low waistline here, which is the one thing that looks slightly odd about this car. It's a cool, I do love these, and I always wanted a real one, of course, because it's the nearest thing you can get to a big American muscle car coupe, really, from Europe. But yeah, fantastic. There used to be one driving around my hometown quite a lot, a D-Reg, so a 1986 most likely. That was a lovely car. Anyway, looking around this, so the wheels, in fact, so I had a W124 300 TE from 1988, and at one point I fitted a set of these wheels. I had the 8-hole wheels first, and then I went for these 16-hole mini spoked wheels, which I'm guessing were 16-inch wheels, maybe 17. I later went to an AMG style from a later C-Class or something, I think it was. But these were nice, elegant. I like the full face alloys, and these are well represented here. You've got the Mercedes logo in the middle. You've got the 5 lug nut holes, and the tyres look a good, correct profile for this particular task. So looking underneath while we're talking about the tyres, see what tread we can see. Okay, reasonable tread, quite a small detail on that. Plenty of moulding detail on the underside actually. So you can see the independent rear suspension with what I'm assuming are semi-trailing arms there and there. Now the estate car I had the kind of Citroen style hydropneumatic rear suspension. And I'm looking at these. I don't think they are accumulators, but I'm not quite sure what those circular pieces are. I don't know if the coupe would have ever have had that hydropneumatic rear suspension. Tell me if it did. It's interesting. And maybe the SEL did, because it would have been a longer wheelbase. Maybe that would affect it more. And only on the back, because you don't have change in load at the front of the car. You're only loading up the boot and rear passengers. And when you're putting front passengers in, it doesn't put much force onto the front, so you don't need correction. So I wouldn't expect a coupe to have correction. Let's turn this upside down so we can read the information. I don't know what S means. It might be to do with whichever production run this was from. Paul's Model Art Maxichamps at the top. Mercedes-Benz 560 SEC at the bottom. And yeah, not bad at all. So it looks like the sump is showing well in front, the engine sump, well in front of the front axle, which I wouldn't necessarily expected. I mean, there's the transmission. You'd expect the engine to be there. Okay, so maybe there's a bigger part of the sump. So the engine is probably this whole bit, and it's got a bigger part of the sump that really comes down lower in front of the front axle line. Okay, and you can see the radiator detail, various lines, cooling lines and things. Yeah, it's quite an interesting look. You'd almost be tempted to paint this, you know, if you've got a kit, nice little fine paint brushes, you could take to this and personalize it and put it on a nice transparent shelf up high so you can look at the bottom of it. Anyway, right, okay, turning it back over. Sunroof detail, really nice actually. I'm not sure I've seen another model with sunroof detail, so I like that. Yeah, and your 2 washer jets fairly in the middle, and this would have been a single wiper blade. Yeah, you've got your single wiper blade, so very similar wiper mechanism to the W124 I had, where it extended. So the wiper was just a single wiper going the whole way, but it would extend up into the corners and then come back and then extend up into the corner again and come back. So it was like a strange, motion to it. But yeah, very good. And of course, being the SEC, you don't have a prominent raised bonnet badge, 3-pointed star. You just have the flush bonnet badge, and then you have the grille grill badge. Interestingly, these bonnets, I believe, can go onto the SE, the saloon car, but here the height of that looks much smaller than on the saloon. So I'm not sure if the headlights are a different height or what, but no, anyway, it's a great look. Blank number plate on this particular model and at the back, so you could personalise it with your own number plate. You know, in the UK, maybe you'd go for A560 SEC. That would be a nice one to go for. Everyone's dream number plate for something like this. Anyway, the body colour mouldings on the wing mirrors are nice. You've got, again, maybe body colour on the door handles there, not sure. Coming back to the back, I know I've vaguely seen it before. Good badging on 560 SEC. I'm almost surprised it doesn't say Mercedes or Mercedes-Benz on this side. Looks a bit strange to me. Your comments, please. I do love these slatted rear lights. The Ford Granada of the early 80s did a similar thing. They went from flush ones on the Granada Mark II to the slatted ones on the facelift, which was the Mark III. So it was a particular trend at the time. Whether it was to help it stay clean, I'm not sure, but you'd imagine it'd be easier to clean a flat one that doesn't have that. Anyway, you might have noticed earlier you had the two exhaust pipe ends coming out under there. Oh, yeah, very good. Let's look at the interior. So you've got the what are called the seatbelt butlers. You can just see in there's a seatbelt butler. So when you open the door and you've got in and you shut it, it pops the seatbelt forward for you to be able to then grab it and plug it in. Otherwise, this B-pillar, well, of course, this is pillarless. So when you open the door this and wind down the rear window, there will be no glass in there at all, which is a great look when you're cruising around town, if you're into that kind of thing. Interior-wise, it's quite a dark interior. I think is it dark brown or is it black? I think it's probably black. Hard to say. So it's really hard to see that detail. Let's just see if I can get anything more with a torch. I mean, you've got the rear parcel shelf detail and the rear headrests. I'm almost surprised the rear headrests don't retract. Maybe that was only available on the W124 saloon. So the W124 being the E-Class, of course. Anyway, so I'm struggling to see into this. So it's a shame it's a dark interior. Okay, we're getting some detail. Anyway, they are a classic, very classic interior on these cars. Beautifully simple, nice binnacle. I don't understand the current obsession with LCD displays that don't have a shroud around them, don't have any sunshade over your display, your dashboard display. I don't understand, but I've not driven one, so I haven't got any comments on that. But I do like the old school, where the binnacle, you have the dials inset into those. So yeah, all in all, lovely car, really nicely done with the chrome strip along the side. Yeah, fantastic. Really pleased to have this. I've been waiting for one of these for quite some years and just not found one, and then the prices came up quite well on this. So yeah, very pleased to have it. So thank you for watching. Do subscribe. Got a lot of 43rd scale, mainly HPI and Spark actually. So do subscribe for those. The HPIs are fantastic quality. The Spark's very good. But these Minichamp, Maxichamps do surprise me. So oh yeah, nice chrome along there and around the windows. It's really nicely presented, this model. They've done it beautifully. It's going to look great in my cabinet. So I've also got 64th scale, 18th and 12th scale car reviews if you'd like to subscribe and have a look at those things. So yeah, you'll hear from me again next week, hopefully. Thank you for watching.